All right. So I'm doing a video on Marvin Gaye's album, In Our Lifetime, right here. So this is speaking on Marvin Gaye's album, In Our Lifetime, and Barry Gordy. I don't really feel what he did was even right at all. Um, it's not the first time he's done something because he has to be put in position to do certain things. When you in a record label, you can, and plus his label Motown moved to L.A. at the time, in 1981. When they had took his album from this In Our Lifetime and they put it out with some songs on it. Um, so this is the actual cover of the actual album. It's like a doomsday Armageddon feel to it. He's battling himself, the light versus the darkness. But remember, light comes from the darkness. You got to go through your dark side to get to the light. So that's what you see they playing chess in the world on the inside. The inner earth is on fire in between it. So it's very meticulous, very thought out for everything that is drawn on here, painted on here. So yeah, back to the story of this album. Um, at the time, Marvin Gaye was like he started around this album he was gonna be making called Love Man. He kind of scrapped the album, but kept going. Was in Hawaii for a while, and then ended up moving out to London. It's crazy because Jimi Hendrix went out to London. He was doing a lot more reading and picking up on reading, and Marvin Gaye was getting into Buddhism and Islam, and Jimi Hendrix was learning about the Hindu practices too. Also, so you can see on one of his covers, uh, the Access, Love is an Access, I believe is the second one, the second album that he came out with while he was still living, um, in the physical form. But yeah, Marvin Gaye, this album, if you can find it, it's gonna cost you some good money to get it. I was like when I heard about it from a teacher named Bobby Hemmett, he put me on to it, and I was like, man, I gotta check that out. They put anytime Hollywood does something like that, when they don't put out something that is supposed to be put out, and it's for a reason. It's like not to wake up certain people or certain messages to get out because they want him to put like a lot of pop stuff, pop music out at that time. He didn't really want to do that. He wanted something with some home cooking, not no microwave, nothing microwave. And look how the music is now, very microwave. So that just shows you how they were trying their agenda, an agenda can be pushed from '79 or even before that up until this very date in 2020. So that's very pertinent. So and important. So Marvin, I love this album. I'm then the price doesn't matter to when you get your satisfaction from the actual music. So the music notes itself are actually melanin, the scales. So that's actually melanin. So while people are so addicted to music, it's tapping into different keys and highs and lows and mids of music. So and Marvin, the great thing about this album, he was he was he produced, arranged everything on his album. Except for like one part, he didn't arrange one song on the album. Okay, so you can literally see the back of the actual CD case. Marvin Gaye in Our Lifetime, his final Motown sessions. You have Ego Tripping Out, Praise, Life is for Learning, Love Party, Funk Me, Far Cry, Love Me Now, or Love Me Later. Uh, Heavy Love Affair in Our Lifetime. Uh, I consider this one of his one of his greatest albums. I have a lot of his CDs, his albums, and I consider this one of his best work. And then, the crazy thing is, this actually happened in Atlanta, about like a year, like 2 years ago in Atlanta. I remember on the news, it was on news everywhere. They said like a crackhead burned something underneath the freeway, and the freeway blew up and collapsed. So that's crazy back then, and look at how the freeway is broken up. But yeah, it's just, and that was years and years ago. While people was driving, it just blew up. So it was that's planned demolition. But anyway, back to what we talking about this album. The album is very I would say it it is very for the mind, for thinking. You can drive to it, you can dance to it, you can make love to it. It's a lot of good things you can do with this album. It's like he really, you can tell he was really digging into himself, of who he was. You can see, like, as you see the devil here and his lower self or the higher self right there. Um, he really took his time and was with the artists that he was working with, and really wanted to get his point across. And this album was not it was released, but not in heavy format. And he was very upset, and that's why I say this is his last most final Motown sessions, because they actually took it. One of the musicians during his sessions actually took um, the uh, the the um, the film or the tape he was using to record. Because he was producing and arranging everything himself. So he took the stuff and sent it to. Of course, Motown must have told him to do it. They knew he was working on something, and they've been working on one the album for 3 years. And remember, like with Jimi Hendrix, he was before like his last physical album he had did was 1968, Electric Ladyland. That's the same year Martin Luther King got shot. So, and that was after the riots. And then he said, "Come on, brother, don't burn your own house down." He was like really was getting into something about talking about the Panthers and different scenarios. So we see these artists have these revelations, and it's a let me see, life is for learning. Right here, it's one of he says the lyrics where he say, the artist pays the price, ba 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 ba. And that's one thing I noticed in his album. He's doing a lot of sounds with his mouth, like not completely saying words. Like when I was reading the booklet on the inside of the book, they said he was like, it was one song he had made to where he was like not even really saying full words, to where he was just getting tired of the whole thing with making music, or the whole how they want him to make the music. So he was just like going back to the inner child. Pretty much the inner child is like, that's the best when you're the most happiest. So the inner child, and he was actually not saying full words. And then on those songs, like that's how like some of the best songs are made, because it's like you digging into your inner child, and going through your lower self to your higher self to bring, they say, Satan is the light bringer. The light go to your darkness to go to the light to bring it to the light, and then when it comes out, is masterful work. And this is one of his greatest. Even to me, like they say, it was not really, it wasn't a commercial success, but the album, "Here, My Dear," when he was talking about pretty much his wife, that album is incredible. They said it wasn't a commercial success because they're looking for pop and shit, like, microwave songs, like. But like he man, that album, "Here, My Dear," and this album here it's some incredible work. But yeah, we were actually mainly talking about this, and what's his name? So I'm very mad at when I found out what happened with the whole Motown thing with Barry Gordy and Marvin Gaye, because people, I don't even I found out that he was married to Barry Gordy's sister, and she was like 17 years his senior, and they were married, and I think they had a child together, I believe, too, and or not that they had a child together or adopted or something like that. And I'm like, damn, it's like you've been on, like you married to her, but like her brother is the label owner you're signed to. That's insane. I know it's almost like you stuck both ways: the marriage and contract, and a record label contract. And so he ended up having two marriages. He had married a younger girl, a younger woman at his for a second marriage, and that didn't work out either. They had two children together, so he was really going through some things, and he had went to Hawaii, and then went to London, and he was creating this album, Love Man. But he went to this one when he said he wanted something very more heavier or with more of a message. And so this came out this was put out actually after what's going sometime after what's going on, and so yeah, you got to think that what's going on is around that time um, of Malcolm X and Kennedy and Martin Luther King's assassination around that time. So sometime around it, and it's very strange. This is like I would say this is a very conscious album. You know, people don't realize that Goody Mob, their first album is supremely conscious, supremely into the mind or into the inside. It's a very esoteric album, brought to the EXO PXO the PXO satellite. So they just used that satellite and brought that music out to the exterior so we can hear it. But that's what I'm saying. Marvin, he was really digging and really finding himself out and learning himself, and that's I always feel bad behind that. I'm like, man, it's never really gonna like people never really gonna hear that. They always gonna hear what the dance stuff and like there's nothing wrong with that. I love the dance music. You know that's great. I love that kind of music too. I'm just saying they won't get to hear this introspective or the inside, the esoteric side of Marvin Gaye. He was really getting very deep. And I'll never forget it. That part he was saying the artist pays the price so that you can listen and you can get the message. The artist's going to pay the price. And down the line, they had this whole situation with him and his father the day before his birthday. But come to find out, I've heard that he wasn't even killed by his father. He was killed by somebody else that was in the room. And it's, they make the father take the rap, just like when they put certain entertainers or whatever in jail. They don't really go to jail. They just go to a jail that we can't see them, or the fake version of themselves go to that jail. And all we know is we're in this matrix, figuring things out how they give it to us. But I want to say big up to Marvin Gaye on this album, man. I want to say shout out to Marvin Gaye, man. And fuck Motown and fuck Barry Gordy for that shit. I'm not saying Motown itself. I love Detroit. I lived in Detroit for a little while. I love Detroit. The people in Detroit are excellent, supreme people. And Motown as a company done some great things. But I know in my heart of hearts, this was a very daunting decision that somebody would just put this album out unregulated. And that's what Marvin decided to leave and go to CBS Records. So Marvin Gaye is I'm very proud. Like I'm always proud of his music, but this album itself is it would really have a lot of people like thinking different, because you can dance to damn near all the music, or groove to it, and just play it all the way through, or even play some tracks over and over, and then get through the album like that. That's how good this album is. So if you ever can, you can find it on Amazon.com. Look it up on Google. I wanted to get I didn't want to get it burned. I wanted to get the actual some type of actual physical copy of it. I didn't want to get like, you know what I'm saying. So I wanted to I wanted to see pictures and everything. I heard about the album cover. I'm just floored about it, man. It's just very very thoughtful of them, to actually want to have it like this so the people can have it and they can build themselves. So and learn from this. This is what life is. Life is for learning. That's why somebody asked me why I was reading so much one day. I was out and about somewhere, and I said life is a classroom. That was years before I even heard this album. I said life is a classroom, and look, life is for learning. That's crazy when he was able to learn more about spirituality and put it in his music, because he was about to put out that pop music. He was like, man, I want something a little more heavier, because he was going through it. He was learning more. Like, why should I stunt people's growth because my label wants to make money? I'm actually helping people, You know what I'm saying? Helping myself by helping, because what I'm going through is actually something that you can actually learn from. And not saying you can just learn from me. I'm an example. I'm the muse, the musician, the artist. So, and I'm like, wow, I really dig that this album. So if you ever can get your hands on it, you probably paying at least about $80 up to 100. Depends on who's selling it, but it's very worth it. It's very worth it, man. If you like Marvin Gaye's music, this is nothing like he's ever put out before, from what I've heard from my collection of Marvin Gaye's music. So I wanted to give a big shout out, a piece um, to Marvin Gaye, and his children. And I know Marvin Gaye Jr. is actually over should be over the estate, and had this whole thing where Robin Thicke was like trying to steal his um, his music, and he won the case. Marvin Gaye Jr. won it. They had to pay up. So there you go, and there you go. I love that. It's amazing. So Marvin Gaye, he didn't deserve how it happened, how that went down. You know, so Marvin Gaye, they got to think about it. I had it in a previous video talking about Marvin Gaye, Nipsey Hussle, and Al Green. Marvin Gaye, uh, I have this. He was telling me, man, like in a vision, like him and his father was arguing, and then because I think the label was pressuring Marvin not to make this type of music, and then got his father in on it to the point where to see if you can try to persuade him, because his father was a Pentecostal preacher, so he's the son of a preacher man. So so you gotta think about it. So when what's his name, Al Green already fell to the pressures and became Reverend Al Green. So they sent that woman. That woman, she came up out of nowhere and started staying with him. And you know, she gets mad, throw grits on him, and then that what made him turn reverend, man. After that, none of that sexual music is no more. So you gotta realize, Marvin Gaye's "Sexual Healing," that's like one of his last biggest hits before his untimely demise. Was talking about, that's like energy. That's like he's the things he was learning. He was like Shiva of the dance. He was dancing. I was too nervous to really get down. So he was like talking. He was telling me about how singing, how dancing. He was like nervous, but my body started yearning to really get down, like to really get out there on the dance floor. So he was like, he was, and that's spiritual. They say long time ago, our highly melanated ancestors wrote that it's not going to be anything dealing with religion. It's going to be the music. It's going to be the muse. Going to be the new form of religion or spirituality. And I was like, that's very true. Look how many people are buying music and listening to this type of music, especially if it's bad music and you're paying for it. Like I'm not gonna pay for bad music, and you're not gonna have me under the spell of listening to fucked up bad music to the point where that's the only thing that's available. It's not the only thing available. Look at this. This is available. Like when you get something like this is a jewel, a gem. You know what I'm saying? Like our people should be knowing about this album, but you know what I'm saying? It's scarce and also is very high. So the people that really can afford it, I saved up for this. I made sure I put money to the side and did it. You know what I'm saying? So it wouldn't be all at one go. I knew where it was, and I said I'm gonna go get it when I get the money. Months down the line, I ended up getting it. I took my time. I said I'm gonna get this album, and I'm grateful that it's everything and exceeded my expect. You know, when you go into it, you know it's gonna be what you're gonna be kind of hearing from an artist, but you never know what's gonna be on something. He had a great horn section too, also. I mean, that was immaculate. The immaculate part of this album, the horn section. He's produced the whole thing himself and arranged it. So, but just want to say peace and thank you to Marvin Gaye for making a supremely conscious album when everything was against you and you were going through what you were going through. I want to say thank you for sharing with us what's on the inside of you and how your light can reflect. You have to go through the darkness to get to the light, and you reflect it, and we reflecting light back. I'm reflecting light back and showing my gratitude for this awesome work. All right, in our lifetime. And they said it's supposed to have a question mark at the end. Peace.